Hello and welcome. You're watching 6 at 6 Stories with me, Akanksha Khajuria. And this evening, as we bring you all the stories from around the world, our focus will be on the heightened escalation in West Asia. First up, we'll tell you about the fresh escalation between Iran and Israel, and we'll show you where the attacks have been happening in the last 3 days. Next, we'll focus on the crash of helicopter carrying pilgrims of the Char Dham Yatra in Uttarakhand, a very concerning story that we're getting for you. Moving on, we'll tell you about the probe into the biggest aviation tragedy in the history of the country. Former Gujarat Chief Minister's DNA sample has matched with the remains. Then we'll focus on the bridge collapse in Pune. Rescue operation is underway and we have the reporter on ground to tell you what is happening. And finally, the Prime Minister has arrived in Cyprus. It is part of his 3-nation visit. These are the stories that we are tracking for you this evening. Let's get started. The first story that we're tracking is from Israel and Iran. In fact, the two countries exchanged fresh attacks today, with the Israeli Defense Forces claiming an extensive series of strikes on the headquarters of the Iranian Defense Ministry and a nuclear project. Israel struck two major energy facilities in Tehran in Iran, including its main gas depot and the central oil refinery. Iran, in fact, has hit back. At least 6 people have been killed and dozens wounded when a blast heavily damaged a building in Bat Yam, that is a city just south of Tel Aviv in Israel. Let me show you the visuals of the attack and the counter-attack, in fact, that have been happening in the last few days. All right, so in the last few days, we have been seeing strikes and counter-strikes coming from both Iran as well as Israel. These are the visuals of the attack by Iran on Israel. On Friday, in fact, Israel launched a series of strikes against Iran, targeting the nuclear program and military infra. Iran has launched its own strike in retaliation, and Israel has continued to bombard Iran. In fact, late on Saturday night, Israel struck two major energy facilities in Tehran, including its main gas depot and central oil refinery. Israel's targeting of the critical energy infra is, in fact, it is a significant escalation in the military campaign against Iran. Many of these Iran strikes have been intercepted by Israeli missile defense system, but not all. In fact, overnight on Saturday, it was the deadliest night in Israel since Israel launched its surprise attack on Iran on Friday. At least 10 people, is what we are learning, are known to have been killed during multiple Iranian missile barrage. Overnight, 3 people have lost their life. All of them are, in fact, civilians. Let me show you the map. In fact, West Asia is on the edge again. Let me show you, explain this entire situation to you through the map. This is the map of Iran, where Israel has been, in fact, attacking several places in the last 3 days. Let me take you through one by one. First is Tabriz. This is where explosion was heard near the nuclear research center. Moving on, this is Tehran. In fact, 2 major energy facilities were struck by Israel in the last 3 days. And this is a very important place. This is Natanz. This is Iran's main nuclear facilities. So in the last 3 days, Israel has attacked nuclear facilities, targeted their military leaders. Now let's focus on where Iran hit Israel. I would request my team to show us the second map, and that is of Israel as far as the attack is concerned. Now, as far as Israel is concerned, there have been attacks on firstly, the Kriya. There, the missile struck Israeli Defense Forces headquarters. And we also have details about, in fact, a strike that took place last night, in which a building was hit and many people have lost their lives. All right, so West Asia is on the edge, and we've been showing you visuals of Israel and Iran on here on the map. Escalation has been going on in the last few days. In fact, there were to be talk between US and Iran, nuclear talks today, which have been cancelled after Iran said that the talks with US in fact, are completely meaningless to them. We have seen reaction coming in from Donald Trump as well, and he has said that US has nothing to do with the attacks. Let me go across to Jitendra Oja, who continues, who in fact joins us on Republic. Thank you so much for speaking to Republic TV. We've been witnessing escalation between Iran and Israel from the past 3 days. Israel has hit an oil depot. On the other hand, Iran has also hit back at Israel. And in fact, what we're learning is that 10 people have lost their life. How would you assess the situation, sir?
Israel has made a multi-pronged attack, and its objective is not only to militarily incapacitate Iran, but it is also seeking to change in regime. Israel has shown, a remarkable courage, one can say, to launch these preemptive strikes. They have managed to integrate intelligence with the defense attacks, and intelligence is not only making good assessment of what is going to be likely response of Iranians. They have not only anticipated Iranian moves, but they've also integrated their weapon system. They have been operating inside Iran, created, a lot of assets and small time, you can say, war-making capacities. This Iranian military chief has been saying they are absolutely safe and they can attack Israel and next day they are dead. So Israel has also been very careful not to attack civilian targets. So fact is that, Israeli intelligence establishment has been anticipating for a long time that if Iran is able to develop its nuclear capacities or the kind of infrastructure Iran had created through its multiple proxies, these constituted existential threat to Israel. But it definitely required Israeli Prime Minister to take this kind of decision that he will go for this preemptive attack and virtually, one can say, to some extent, numb Iran through these attacks. But Iran is a very powerful country. All said and done, many consider Iran as regional superpower in West Asia, stronger than even Saudi Arabia in certain areas. So this is not going to be very easy. But yes, out of many of their missile launch facilities also, Israel has, one can say, paralyzed to some extent. Yes, yet Iran has more than 3,000 missiles it is expected, including some hypersonic weapon system, which it has developed in collaboration with North Korea. So this we have to watch for some time, but their top military leadership is gone, almost gone. And still it is not clear what kind of targets Iran is hitting. It is difficult to say at this point of time. All missiles will not be intercepted in Israel. We have to be very aware of it. Yet Iran will be able to inflict significant damages, but yet Iranian response is not as measured, not as precise as I can say Israeli this thing. And in larger this thing, one has to be, as you mentioned, that without American concurrence, this is not possible. Even though America is denying, people say that even Saudi Arabia, to some extent, would be having some degree of concurrence. Any change in power equation would go to the advantage of Saudi Arabia. So this will have long-term implications, but next few days are going to be very critical if Israel succeeds in its larger objective of regime change in Iran.
Absolutely. It remains to be seen how this entire situation pans out in the coming days. Thank you so much for speaking to Republic TV. Now we're shifting our focus to the state of Uttarakhand. 7 people died after a helicopter carrying pilgrims of Char Dham Yatra from Kedarnath crashed near Rudraprayag in Gaurikund today. Now those who lost their lives have been identified as Captain Rajbir Singh Chauhan from Jaipur. He was the pilot of this helicopter. Vikram Rawat from Ukhi Mat in Uttarakhand, Vinod Devi, Trishiti Singh from Uttar Pradesh, Rajkumar Suresh Jaiswal, Shraddha Rajkumar Jaiswal and 2-year-old Kashi from Maharashtra. In fact, the Uttarakhand government has suspended the helicopter services on the Char Dham Yatra route for the next 2 days and ordered a high-level probe into this accident. But very important to mention here that this is not the first time that such an accident has happened in Uttarakhand. On June 7th, last week, 6 people, including the pilot, had a narrow escape when a helicopter on its way to Kedarnath made an emergency landing on the highway in Rudraprayag district, where this incident, in fact, happened. Now, DGCA has ordered special audit into helicopter operations involved in the shuttle services in Uttarakhand following the spate of occurrences which have been happening in the last 1 week. 2 incidents and 1 deadly incident in the one last week that we have witnessed. All right, so this is situation as far as Uttarakhand is concerned. As I told you, on June 7th, there was an incident in which there was an emergency landing, but very tragically today, 7 people lost their life after a helicopter crashed while pilgrims were on the Char Dham Yatra. All right, so let me tell you more about the incident that has taken place today. As you can see in the visuals right here, these are the visuals of the rescue operation that in fact still continues in Uttarakhand. This is a helicopter that has crashed. We can see the teams of NDRF and SDRF. 7 people, including 2 pilots, have lost their life. Helicopter was ferrying the Char Dham pilgrims when this incident happened. 5 kilometers walk away from Gaurikund. Crash near Kedarnath in Rudraprayag. This is a location where that entire incident has taken place, and we've been showing you the visuals since morning, and our focus is on this story. Pilot Rajbir Singh Chauhan, he among with others have lost their lives. Total 7 deaths as far as this case is concerned. Victims from Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Maharashtra, and 2 small children have also lost their life. Uttarakhand government has ordered a high-level probe in this case. DGCA has also issued the direction. Chopper services has been suspending on this entire area that leads to Kedarnath for the next 2 days. We are learning that inspection of the helicopters of that area will also be carried out in the next few days to see if they are facing any technical snag and how it can be fixed. So this is as far as today's incident, a very tragic one, is concerned, in which 7 people lost their life. But as we've been in fact telling you that this is not the first time that such an incident has taken place. On June 7th, another incident took place. This was in fact on June 7th, and this is the name of the aviation, the helicopter. Kestrel Aviation chopper made an emergency landing, and this was also, something that had shocked the people. 6 people, including pilot, had a very narrow escape as it made the emergency landing. Chopper developed a technical snag during the takeoff, and as we've been telling you, that is why the government is now focusing on the helicopters that are ferrying the pilgrims. Emergency landing on highway in Rudraprayag, and this happened on June 7th, just a week after this tragic incident took place. As far as this is concerned, DGCA has ordered special audit of the chopper operation in the state of Uttarakhand so that these technical snags can be found out. Focus is on Char Dham shuttle services after the incident, because a lot of people who go for Char Dham Yatra, they take these shuttles, and that is why it is very important that these things are fixed. In fact, after the spate of occurrences that we've been witnessing, enhanced surveillance ordered across Uttarakhand. This is as far as Uttarakhand government and DGCA, which is a regulatory body under the Ministry of Civil Aviation, is concerned. Very concerning news coming in from Uttarakhand. Deadly, tragic incident that has taken today. All right, so let me go across to my colleague Ratan Negi, who continues to track this story very closely for us. Ratan Negi, I want to ask you, this is not the first time, as we've been telling our viewers, that such an incident has taken place. On June 7th also, a helicopter made a emergency landing after there was a technical snag in it. And today, because of that, in fact, we lost 7 innocent lives. Give us more details about this incident.
सबसे पहले अगर बात करें तो ये हेलीकॉप्टर जो है सुबह 5:17 पर आर्यन एविएशन यानी गुप्तकाशी से केदारनाथ के लिए उड़ान भरता है, और केदारनाथ में उड़ान टेक ऑन करने के बाद वहां से जो श्रद्धालु है, पायलट समेत 7 लोग, ये वापस गुप्तकाशी के लिए आ रहे होते, इसी बीच इनके रास्ते में बादल आ जाता है, जो जानकारी यहाँ पर मिली, और दुर्घटनावश गौरीकुंड से के 5 किलोमीटर ऊपर त्रिजुगी नारायण के बीच में ये हेलीकॉप्टर क्रैश हो जाता है, जिसमें पायलट समेत 7 लोगों की दुखद मौत हो जाती है। ये जानकारी यहाँ पर मिली। इसके बाद मुख्यमंत्री शोक संवेदना करते हैं, अधिकारी को दिशा निर्देश देते हैं, उचित हाई लेवल की बैठक यहाँ पर 11 बजे होती है, और जो जानकारी अब हमारे पास निकल कर आ रही है, इसमें चारधाम यात्रा के लिए जो आर्यन एविएशन है जिससे ये हादसा हुआ, इसका तत्काल प्रोसेस निलंबित कर दिया गया है। कि चारधाम यात्रा में अब जो आर्यन एविएशन है ये जो कंपनी है इसको यहाँ पर निलंबित कर दिया गया है, यानी सस्पेंड कर दिया गया है, ये अब यहाँ पर काम नहीं करेगी। इसके साथ ही 2 पायलट्स हैं जिनका नाम कैप्टन योगेश गैरवाल है और दूसरे कैप्टन जितेंद्र हरजाई है। मौसम के अनुकूल इनको प्लेन उड़ाते हुए यानी हेलीकॉप्टर उड़ाते हुए देखा गया है। इन दोनों का जो लाइसेंस है ये 6 महीने के लिए यहाँ पर निलंबित कर दिया गया, ये जानकारी यहाँ पर निकल रही है। इसके साथ ही सुरक्षा एहतियात के तौर पर 15-16 जून 2025 क्षेत्र में सभी चार्टर और शटल हेलीकॉप्टर परिचालन को निलंबित कर दिया गया। इससे पहले की अगर बात की जाए तो मुख्यमंत्री धामी ने लगातार यहाँ पर बैठक ली है, अधिकारियों की हाई लेवल की मीटिंग ली है। इस मीटिंग में हेलीकॉप्टर से संबंधित जो घटना इस पर काफी दुख जताया गया, शोक व्यक्त किया गया है और इस घटना के जो है जांच के आदेश यहाँ पर मुख्यमंत्री ने दिए। सोमवार तक के लिए चारधाम जो यात्रा है उसके लिए हेलीकॉप्टर यहाँ पर बंद रहेगा, मौसम के अनुसार खुलेगा। हेली उड़ान है इसके लिए जो यहाँ पे कमांड है कोऑर्डिनेशन सेंटर की स्थापना की बात की गई कि एक कोऑर्डिनेटर सेंटर स्थापित वहां पर किया जाएगा। मुख्यमंत्री ने कहा है कि उन्हीं पायलटों को अनुमति दी जाए जिनकी उच्च हिमालय क्षेत्रों में हेली उड़ान की दीर्घकालीन अनुभव, यानी उन्हीं पायलटों को अनुमति दी जाए हेलीकॉप्टर चलाने की जिनका एक उच्च पर्वतीय क्षेत्र में उड़ाने का एक अनुभव हो। इसके साथ ही डीसीजीए द्वारा निर्धारित गाइडलाइनों का जो अनुपालन नहीं करेगा, जो उसका पालन नहीं किया जाएगा, उसके लिए सख्त नियम बनाए गए हैं, उनको तत्काल उनकी लापरवाही पर सख्त कार्रवाई होगी, ये मुख्यमंत्री के निर्देश दिए। इसके साथ ही अगर बात की जाए तो मौसम जिस तरह से केदारनाथ की वैली पर लगातार
very tragic incident that has taken place in the state of Uttarakhand. 7 people have lost their life. Thank you, Ratan Negi, for all the details. We'll keep coming back to you for more on this. From this tragedy, we are moving to the biggest aviation tragedy in the history of the country. 70 hours after the Air India plane crash tragedy, the DNA of former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani has matched with the remains recovered from the wreckage of Air India. Now, 32 other DNA samples have also matched. While many more families await the mortal remains of their family members, the investigation is picking up pace. Akhil joins us live from Ahmedabad to get us more on the crash tragedy. Akhil, I want to come to you and try to understand from you as far as the investigation in this case is concerned, because on one hand DNA samples of several people have matched, but tell us about where the investigation has reached now and what is happening there on the spot.
Well, Akanksha, if you see, the investigation in this very case has been going on 2 different levels. It's a 2-tier investigation. The first investigation, which is being done by the AAIB, which is the Aircraft Accident Investigative Bureau, that is doing the investigation, and the second investigation is being done by the high-level committee, which was formed yesterday itself by the Union Civil Aviation Minister and which is headed by Union Home Secretary. In the first investigation, what we have seen, which is being done by the AAIB, in that investigation, we have seen that that a 5-member team has arrived from the national capital on the day of the very incident, and since then this team has been over here, and that team, in collaboration with the DGCA, in collaboration with the ATC, has been constantly working. And if you see in this very operation, what we have been seeing, that the local intelligence unit of the state police, apart from that, if you see the disaster management team, the forensic department team, all these teams are basically aiding the process of this investigation. And if you see what has happened on 13th of June, what we have seen that at around 5 p.m. The black box was recovered. So black box is going to be a very crucial element. So once it will be decoded, because it will take another 72 hours to get some results, initial results on that finding. So the NDRF team basically accessed the black box, and then they submitted to the AAIB, and right now it's under the AAIB's jurisdiction. So right now the investigation is going on that front of the black box. So black box will give us more details regarding that, at what point in time the pilot basically lost the control with the ATC, Air Traffic Control Department, and after that what was the communication at that point in time, and how basically this mishap took place. So all these nuanced detail will come out after the investigation from the black box data. So once it will be decoded, then things will come out. The second part of this investigation, Akanksha, if you see, which is headed by the Union Home Secretary, in that team, what we have seen, that several experts have been brought in, looped in that investigation, in which what we have seen that from Indian Air Force, inspection and safety DG has also been involved in that. Additional DG has been involved in that case. Ahmedabad Police Commissioner, because this is the ground zero from where this incident took place. So Ahmedabad Police Commissioner is also the part of the team. DG of the DGCA is also part of this high-level committee. Apart from that, if you see, Secretary of the Ministry of Civil Aviation is also part of the committee. Additional Secretary from the Ministry of Home Affairs is also part of the committee. So it's a very high panel, multidisciplinary committee which will inspect not only inspect this very case. Apart from that, they have also been given a mandate to create a safety guidelines for further reforms in the aviation sector. So that is going to be very crucial for the next few months, because the mandate which has been given to the high-level committee will be submitting its report within 90 days. Back to you.
Absolutely. All eyes will be on the investigation in this case. A black box has been recovered. Very crucial to find out what really comes out of that. Thank you, Akhil, for all the detail. Keep tracking that story very closely for us. Now, shifting our focus to Maharashtra. 2 tourists have died and several others are feared to have drowned after a bridge built over the Indrani River in Pune has collapsed, and that happened today at around 2 o'clock is what we're learning. This was reported from Kundamala, a popular tourist destination that sees high footfall during monsoon. Scores of tourists were there on the bridge at a time when this collapse took place. They fell into the swollen river is what we're learning. Police and disaster relief workers, including NDRF, which is National Disaster Response Force, they reached the spot and the rescue work has started. 6 people have been rescued so far. 2 people have lost their life. All right, so this is as far as the rescue operation is concerned. As you can see in the visuals, NDRF teams are there on the spot and they're trying to get the people out who may be, in fact, trapped inside that rubble of that bridge from there. And these efforts are underway to bring out people who could be under that trouble. Now, shifting our focus, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has in fact, before we get to that story, let me go across to my colleague Sandeep, who joins us live on the broadcast with more details. Sandeep, what are we learning about this rescue operation? Because as you've been reporting, 6 to 7 people have been rescued, but there is a possibility that there are few people who could be trapped under the rubble. Give us more details.
See, as far as the latest update that is coming up from Pune rural is that 5 people have lost their life. That is being confirmed by the local MLA out there. The local MLA has confirmed with the fact that due to this very tragic incident, 5 people have lost their life. In fact, that bridge was in a dilapidated condition, and in fact, it was 100 years old bridge, and despite that, there were people who went up on the bridge with their 2-wheelers. That is what also being said by the locals and the local authorities out there. Also, there was a notice that was in fact put up by the local authorities to not to go up on the bridge. Despite that, the people climbed up on the bridge, and not only that, which also led to the loss of life of 5 people. Earlier, 6 to 7 people were rescued, and out of which 5 have lost their life. There are 25 to 30 people who are still missing, in fact, and the search and rescue operation is still underway. So the NDRF and the SDRF teams are on the spot to carry out the search operation.
Absolutely. Search operation continues. As you've been telling us about it, that notice that was pasted onto this bridge. Tell us more about that, because we're learning that this bridge was old, in fact, Sandeep.
See, 100 years old bridge, that is what is being confirmed by the local authorities and the administration out there. And a notice was put up by the administration for the tourists, in fact, not to climb up on the bridge. But despite all that stuff, people went up there, and due to heavy rains, in fact, remember at this point in time, Maharashtra is witnessing incessant rains across the district, and there was already an orange alert issued for the Pune district today by the IMD department. So, being it a Sunday, as it is a tourist destination, many tourists went there, and unfortunately people lost their life. But the question out here is that as the administration was aware with the fact that it is a bridge which is something which is highly attractive for the tourists, so why there was no security guard placed? Was a notice enough for the tourists to keep them aside or keep them away from that very dilapidated bridge? So there are several questions that needs to be answered by the local administration and also the people who are responsible, whether there will be any kind of criminal case filed by Pune Rural Police against those who are responsible in this case, whether it is only the responsibility of the citizens to in fact keep their safety. What about the administration is something that administration needs to respond.
Absolutely. So if there was a notice that was pasted onto that bridge, shouldn't there have been a security guard to deter people from coming to that area? Very tragic incident that has come to the fore from Maharashtra. Keep tracking those details for us, Sandeep. We'll keep coming back to you for more on this. Now, shifting our focus, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has embarked on the three-nation tour of Cyprus, Canada and Croatia. He said that this is an opportunity to galvanize global understanding on tackling terrorism in all its form and manifestation. In fact, just a while back, he has landed in Cyprus. Here's more.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday embarked on a significant three-nation tour with scheduled visits to the Republic of Cyprus, Canada and Croatia. This diplomatic journey aims to bolster India's international relations and explore new avenues for cooperation across various sectors. The first stop of Prime Minister Modi's itinerary is the Republic of Cyprus, where he will engage in discussions with President Nikos Christodoulidis. The visit comes on the backdrop of long-standing friendship between India and Cyprus. Following his visit to Cyprus, the Prime Minister will move to Kananaskis in Canada to participate in the G7 summit, where he is invited by the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. The Indian diaspora extended a warm welcome to the Prime Minister, expressing a hope for fresh start in rebuilding India. India's growing global influence is clear, as highlighted by former Deputy National Security Advisor Pankaj Saran, who explains why India's presence at G7 is essential despite diplomatic challenges. The Prime Minister will join global leaders in addressing pressing international issues with major focus on the Global South. The final leg of the tour will take Prime Minister Modi to Croatia. The visit aims to strengthen ties between the two nations. The three-nation tour marks the first foreign visit of Prime Minister Modi since India's Operation Sindoor.
This is all we could pack for you in this bulletin. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories at 6 at 6. Keep watching Republic TV.